Winter meetings are officially underway, and we here on the Setup Man will be covering it all week. All the latest rumors, if there's any breaking news, emergency podcasts will be done. Tonight, it's just me solo. Once again, Ty fell ill, but that doesn't stop us. It is Winter Meetings Week, and we are here to bring you the latest rumors, and that's going to start on the Setup Man podcast right now. Welcome everyone to a winter meetings edition of the Setup Man podcast. I am Alex Brault, alone inside my office yet again, but no worries. The news doesn't stop, so neither will I. Thank you for joining me today, wherever you get your podcast, however you're listening. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to spend with me this time. But if you haven't already, make sure to do us a favor, like, subscribe, comment on this video. If you listen to us, let's try that again. If you listen to us on audio only, have no fear. You can still support us by following us wherever you get your podcast and leaving a 5-star review. On today's show, we are going to talk about a couple of the rumors. The Cubs have been linked to a couple bigger names, including one over the weekend that was a little odd, and we're going to get into the details of that if you didn't hear. But Tetsuya Imai also was linked to the Cubs. I'm not going to talk about him here on this podcast. Kyle, actually, as a part of our winter meetings coverage, will be doing his first live with Lance of the Marquee Network. Their first live of the off season will be tomorrow. They're going to break down Tetsuya Imai because, let's face it, if you follow Marquee at all, Lance is a bit of a Imai expert, so they are going to cover that there. But as of today, the rumors for the Cubs and Tetsuya Imai were heating up, so keep that in mind. But we're not going to start with that pitcher. We're going to start with another one. Did you follow Bob Nightingale over the weekend like me? Because boy, oh boy. Now, Bob Nightingale has a certain reputation in the Cubs community. He, I think it was March, he indicated that the Cubs were in and close to signing Lance Lynn. That never happened, and Lance Lynn did not pitch in the big leagues last season at all. Well, he was back at it again. Saturday, he tweeted that the Cubs were close to finalizing a deal with starting pitcher Zach Gallen. Only to a few minutes later, edit that tweet to say that the Cubs were hopeful that a deal comes together, which was then followed by a Jeff Passan tweet that said no deal is close or close to being finalized for Zach Gallen. Why am I telling you all this? Well, it does indicate that the Cubs are interested in Zach Gallen in some capacity because the numbers he threw out there were pretty specific. The Athletic actually had an article that linked the Cubs to Zach Gallen. There were some local beats that also connected. So there's some level of interest there. But I am here to tell you, we are now headed into the winter meetings. Tweets are going to be flying. Rumors will be flying. Just unless Ken Rosenthal, Jeff Passan, John Heyman, John Morosi, any of the big names with the check marks, don't believe these random rumors. I'm just, for your own sanity, and look, I'm guilty of it too. In fact, I sent one, there was one today that said the Cubs were in on, I can't remember his first name off the top, Suarez, the closer for San Diego. I don't think that's happening. There's been multiple beat reporters that said, yeah, they're not playing at that end of the pool. It doesn't make sense. So I'm just warning you as a PSA. Be careful with your Twitter rumors this week. This week specifically. All right, but let's talk Zach Gallen here. So Zach Gallen last year wasn't great. Let's just call it what it is. He was an all-star in 23, got Cy Young votes in 22 and 23. This year, not great. 13 and 15 was his record. A 4.38 ERA. He did start 33 games. A career high 31 home runs were allowed, though. You know who that was the same as? Shota Imanaga. And I was curious. Chase Field can sometimes be considered a hitter's park. Every time they have the home run derby there, which I think is once or twice in my lifetime, they're like, yep, this is a hitter's park with I don't even know, whatever desert math they were doing. Hashtag desert math. But basically, it can be a hitter friendly park. So I looked it up. Okay, well, what were his splits on the road? Maybe this is just a Chase Field being hitter friendly kind of thing. Well, that wasn't really the case. His numbers on the road were actually worse, to the tune of a 5.11 ERA versus a 4.56 ERA at home. Regardless, both of those ERAs are pretty darn high. So the question is, does adding Zach Gallen in 2026 make the Cubs better? Make the Cubs rotation better, more specifically? No, it seems. And look, you can make the argument, well, he gave up 31 home runs, but he'll be at Wrigley for half of his games, so wind blowing in, yeah. We all know the song and dance. Wrigley's a pitcher park. Okay, fine. But does he make your rotation better? Is the question. Are you going to spend roughly, using Nightingale's report, he reported multiple years for $22 million. So we're giving him the same money to Shota. He's a similar pitcher to Shota, and you could not start Shota in your most important game of the season in Milwaukee. Game 5, that is. I don't understand. The other thing is, I don't understand the timing of this. When Imai is still on the board, Ranger Suarez, who they haven't really been connected to, also don't really seem that interested. I'm fine with that, by the way, between you and I. I'm good on Ranger Suarez. Also, Framber Valdez really hasn't gotten a ton of buzz. I saw him connected to the Giants and the Orioles today. Okay, have at it, but they're not really connected there. They really seem to be in on Imai, Michael King, and Zach Gallen does make sense, but not till February, March. I would not sign him in December, especially when all other reports are indicating Michael King, higher upside. Tetsuya Imai, higher upside and younger. I don't understand how Zach Gallen makes the 2026 Cubs better. He is coming off a down year, maybe a bounce back. But also, is he that different than anyone else you have in your rotation? As I said earlier, he's profile similar to Shota Imanaga. Steele, you don't know what you're getting. The athletic guys keep reporting, that would be Patrick Mooney and Sahadev Sharma. They keep kind of indicating early May could be a possible return date for Justin Steele. Okay, but I would just really rather them take their time with him. He is, when healthy, he's their best starter. I don't know if there's a debate there. It just, what does Gallen add that you don't have already? He doesn't have velocity. His average fastball velocity sat at 93.5 miles an hour. He had a career low in strikeout rate. He usually, for his career, sat around 25%, which is fine. This year, a career low, 21.5%. So not only every season since his All-Star season in 2023, but all of Zach Gallen's numbers since then have slowly gone down, or in the case of his ERA, slowly gone up. I don't understand what Zach Gallen would bring that would make this different, especially when the athletic guys, not only, the title of their last article was, quote, "The Cubs seem to understand it's time to make a splash again." That was the title. Then reading the article, they mentioned they want to add a power pitcher. Zach Gallen is not that. Zach Gallen would be fine if this was a 2016 type of conversation we were having, because then he would be like a John Lackey type signing. You figure 2-3 years, 20 million, 18 to 20 million. That would make sense. But the problem is you don't have that frontline starter. He would be a nice depth piece, but you already have a lot of depth pieces. It ultimately, to me, if this is February, March, and they whiff on signing any of these other guys, Michael King, Imai, they obviously whiffed on Cease already. If they get down to it and Gallen would take a 1-year deal, which I don't think is going to be the case, I think someone is going to sign him. And maybe for $20 million a year, that seems high to me. But again, pitching is expensive on the free agent market. I don't know. Adding him to me does not make the Cubs better. He might have a higher ceiling than guys like Colin Ray or Javier Assad, but we're ultimately talking about the guys that are towards the back end of the rotation. They have enough of those guys. You need someone that you can slot in the front end and trust in a game 5 situation against your biggest rival in the playoffs. But I'm telling you, folks, his numbers eerily similar to Shota Imanaga. And Imanaga's numbers were actually better, like ERA wise, strikeout wise. All of those numbers favor Shota. So Zach Gallen, I would be okay with it if it's later in the offseason. But if they come out of the winter meetings this week, or I have to do a emergency episode with Ty or Kyle or both tomorrow, Wednesday, Thursday, about, oh, they signed Zach Gallen to a 3-year, $70 million deal, I don't think a lot of you in the audience would be very happy. And truth be told, I wouldn't either. I just don't think he makes that much of an impact. Or I keep saying this, you need a different flavor in your rotation. You need more velocity. You need more strikeouts. You need more stuff, which is why Dylan Cease was the perfect candidate to be that guy. You didn't want to go to $200 million? Okay, fine. I don't know that I would have done that for Dylan Cease either. Fine. For the Blue Jays, it makes sense. They're knocking on the door of a World Series title. That makes sense. For the Cubs, you needed that guy. $200 million, though, when we all, I mean, I might as well get the sounder ready. When you already have budget constraints that you put on yourself, by the way. To me, it just does. Zach Gallen would make sense at the very end of the offseason, and you can get him on a bargain. To sign him in December before Imai has come off the board or Michael King has come off the board, it doesn't make sense to me. So that's one name that we're going to cover here. The other name is an all-star third baseman World Series champion that the Cubs were linked to last offseason, and they are again. We're going to get into that right after a quick message from our friends at Obvious Shirts.
Setup Nation, I want to take a quick break so that you know how you can support our channel and wear some cool swag like this. We've teamed up with Obvious Shirts to give you a chance to have your very own Setup Man shirt or hat. Pick from 3 different types of shirts or my personal favorite, the trucker hat. Go to the link in the description of this video and podcast to claim your Setup Man apparel. And thank you so much for supporting our channel.
Thank you for the support. Indeed, it is the holiday season, so why not share our swag with someone you love that watches our channel to support us, and also just cool swag. Who doesn't love cool swag from their favorite podcast? Well, maybe that's just me. But anyway, Obvious Shirts, you know the deal there. Okay. I have a bit of a breaking news thing here. Speaking of Matt Shaw, so Jesse Rogers, should probably play the sounder. This isn't really breaking news, but I am going to play it because I do think it is relevant to actually the next guy we are going to talk about. And of course, I can't. Oh, there it is. So, Jed Hoyer to Jesse Rogers today. Quote, I've been surprised by the number of media reports that link us to different guys. There is zero lack of confidence in Matt, that being Matt Shaw. I would say the opposite. So they're confident in Matt Shaw, which is just the perfect quote at the perfect time to lead us in to our next conversation. The Cubs are yet again linked to all-star third baseman Alex Bregman, who will be 32 years old on opening day. Currently, Bregman is being linked to the Detroit Tigers, the Boston Red Sox, where he spent his 2025 season, and your Chicago Cubs. Now, there was a report that came out today that said Detroit not super high on Bregman. It kind of feels like a Cubs opportunistic thing, like if he's there later in the offseason. Like, yeah, okay, let's throw an offer his way. Let's see what happens. So really, at this point, the only 2 teams that have been firmly, I guess for lack of a better term, connected to Alex Bregman are the Red Sox and the Cubs. And the Red Sox have been linked to everybody and their brothers so far. Bo Bichette, Pete Alonso, Kyle Schwarber. The Red Sox are in on all the bats. And by all accounts, really enjoyed the Alex Bregman experience last year. So they are, I mean, not surprisingly, they're back in on Alex Bregman. So, what does that mean for the Cubs? What does that mean for Matt Shaw? And this one's a trickier topic for me because yes, Alex Bregman at this point right now on December 8th at 5:05 Wrigleyville time, Alex Bregman is a better third baseman than Matt Shaw. Offensively, I don't know about defensively. I didn't dive that deep into the defensive metrics, but he's an all-star, he's a Gold Glover. I mean, he's Alex Bregman. He's got a reputation. He's a really good player. In 2025 with Boston, he had 3.5 WAR according to Baseball Reference, a 273 batting average, 18 homers, 62 RBIs, a 339 on-base percentage, and a 784 OPS. And I just because I wanted that little extra nugget. Cubs, we all know, had well-documented struggles against left-handed pitching. Well, Alex Bregman, 319 batting average, a 421 on base, and a 434 slug against left-handed pitching. Yeah, that'll do. And how does that affect the Cubs? Well, it gives them a middle of the order bat that would fill the gap of Kyle Tucker leaving. Alex Bregman, yes, he did have a few injuries earlier in the season, like May, June, but his second half, he was pretty steady. In fact, his batting average was pretty steady. He did struggle in the month of September, and that number did come down a little bit. But for the most part, Alex Bregman was really steady. And I think that's something the Cubs desperately need on offense is just a steady presence. We all know that Seiya Suzuki, when he's hot, it's magical. One of the most magical baseball rides he will be on. But he will also have a bigger stretch where he goes cold. Same with Ian Happ. Same with Dansby Swanson. Same with Pete Crow Armstrong. Michael Busch was steadier this season than he was in his rookie year, but still had his normal ups and downs, had a streak of a couple weeks where it was pretty bad. Bregman, and yes, I'm not saying Bregman is slump proof because nobody is. We just saw Kyle Tucker go through about a 3-month slump, and he's one of the best hitters in all of baseball by all accounts. So Bregman brings a steady presence. He's a two-way player. So not only are you getting solid defense, you're also getting solid offense. Something the Cubs obviously value. They want two-way guys. Alex Bregman, two-way player. But what does that mean for Matt Shaw? Well, Matt Shaw, I just was curious because we keep saying, oh, he turned it around in the second half. He looked a lot better. Arrows pointing up. Well, just his raw numbers. Yes, they were better. But still, in the month of August and September combined, Shaw hit for a 231 batting average, a 303 on base, a 463 slug, and 7 homers. Better than what it was. And that's not saying a lot. That bar was pretty low. When he was bad, he was really bad. The playoffs, he was really bad. Didn't make much of an impact at all, especially offensively. The Cubs opened their competitive window. As I said on the last show I did by myself a week ago, you opened the competitive window last season. So why would you can have more of a sure thing now in Alex Bregman, but the problem is you are now halting the development of a guy who was your top prospect. And by all accounts, a can't miss prospect. If you add Bregman, what happens to Shaw? Well, you can slide him into a utility role off the bench, which isn't the worst thing in the world. But this is a guy Matt Shaw was a Gold Glove finalist. He proved he can play third base defensively at a high level. The offense is the question. Now, was it just his first year? He's figuring stuff out. Of course, sure. Every rookie, for the most part, as I said in the last show, every rookie goes through their struggles. That happens. That makes sense. But the question is, with only past this season, Dansby Swanson and now Phil Maton are the only two contracts you have in the books, outside of your minor league guys, of course. Who's anchoring your team? I'll wait for the response. The problem is you don't really have one. You have PCA and your young guys. So Ballesteros, Casey, assuming they don't trade him. But who really is the anchor of that team? Well, at this point, it's kind of just Dansby Swanson, offensively speaking. I understand why the Cubs would have interest. Heck, I have interest in bringing in Alex Bregman. But you are taking a gamble on Matt Shaw's development. Are you just going to keep him in a utility role for this season and then Nico Hoerner is a free agent after this season? So does he take over second base for Nico Hoerner? I don't think a lot of Cubs fans would like to hear that. Dansby Swanson's not going anywhere. I don't think Matt Shaw has any experience in the outfield, so that doesn't make any sense. Plus, Cubs have tons of outfielders as is. What's the plan with Matt Shaw? And they're looking, man. This isn't just someone said in passing, oh, yeah, the Cubs are kind of kicking the tires on Bregman. Bruce Levine today said that he was talking about the Japanese third baseman coming over, Kazuma Akamoto. He said, oh, the Cubs could be interested, quote, if talks stall with Bregman, end quote. So they're definitely talking. They talked last spring, so they kind of know, and he's a Boris guy. And if you don't know Scott Boras, mega agent, one of the best agents in baseball, but he's known for getting the deal that he wants and kind of headlocking, arm barring. I'm not a big wrestling fan, obviously. Strong holding, that's the term I was looking for. He's known for strong holding teams into getting the deals that he wants. That's why he got Juan Soto $700 million last offseason. He's really good at getting money. So Bregman isn't going to come cheap. We're probably talking $100+ million for 5 years. And I'm guessing his average annual value, AAV, probably going to be somewhere between $25 and $30 million. So you put that into the equation, and you put into the fact that Matt Shaw's development will be stunted because he won't be playing every day. Now, maybe that means, maybe they have another deal lined up. Because let's face it, if you go trade Matt Shaw and Owen Casey for Edward Cabrera, the Marlins young star pitcher, okay, well, now you save money because Edward Cabrera costs you nothing. You fill that need, and now you have more money to throw at Bregman and your bullpen. That would make some sense. But then you're giving up on a guy who was your top prospect, and by all accounts, great guy in the room. Work ethic off the charts, because obviously he went from not being able to play third base at all, that month of April, it was brutal, to being one of the best in the league, the National League specifically. Arguably, I mean, probably could have won the Gold Glove, but Brian Hayes exists, and he's one of the best defenders out there. So does adding Bregman make sense for the Cubs? Yes, because the goal for this year should be they are trying to win. Alex Bregman helps you win. He is a winning player. Everywhere he has gone, they have won. Maybe not in the World Series titles. He didn't win a World Series title in Boston this past year, but they were a much improved team. So I like the idea, but then the question becomes what happens to Matt Shaw? And that is a whole complicated question that I probably couldn't talk about myself, just because I think Ty would probably yell at me if we're being honest. But man, I would love to know what you guys think in the comments. Bregman versus Shaw. Or if you have another idea, okay, sign Bregman, move Shaw to a different position. I would love to hear it. I don't know what the right answer is because Matt Shaw disappointed offensively, and Alex Bregman is a finished product. You know what you're getting. But you also, if you're trading Matt Shaw now because you do sign someone like Alex Bregman, you're kind of giving up the next 6 years of Matt Shaw, who we know has the work ethic to improve. It's a gamble. I don't know if I would do it, but also you need a bat. And the most likely add to this roster, the one position that you can make the most impact by making an addition would be third base. And at this point, the best third baseman out there would be Alex Bregman. So just food for thought. All right, let me give you a rundown of what the rest of the week will look like before we say goodbye. I obviously had this episode tonight. Kyle will be live with Lance at 1 o'clock Central Time tomorrow. Submit your questions to that. Join the live chat, and I'm sure Kyle will be adding comments and whatnot so Lance can answer their questions. I already got a sneak peek. They will be talking a lot about Tatsuya Imai, who seems to be the Cubs' top priority? Question mark. There's a lot of rumors going around today that is the case. 27-year-old pitcher from Japan. So they are going to do a deep dive on all of that. Plus, Lance, if you followed Marquee at all, has been on top of the Imai race and everything Tatsuya Imai. So if you want more information on that, make sure to check out Kyle's Live with Lance Brazdowski tomorrow, 1 o'clock Central Time. Then Wednesday, Ty and I will be back. Hopefully, Ty is feeling better. He was under the weather and unable to do the show today. So hopefully, Ty gets better. But the plan is Wednesday, we will be back to cover anything that has happened since. And obviously, if the Cubs make a move in the next week, we will have an emergency. Well, really all off season. If they make a significant move, we will have an emergency episode whenever that comes down. Just before we go, did the Cubs make a move this week? Because I think that's all kind of what we're wondering, right? I don't know. Unfortunately, I was hoping to get a little more buzz, and there was some buzz today. But it really sounds like everything is hinging on Kyle Schwarber. And once the Kyle Schwarber dam breaks, then who knows? It sounds like it's going to be off to the races. Also, quick side note, the Pirates offering Kyle Schwarber reportedly 4 years for $120 million, and the Cubs aren't even linked to Kyle Schwarber. I mean, if he goes to Pittsburgh, man, oh, I know Jed said he regretted letting Kyle Schwarber walk for whatever it was, $6 million and biblical losses, whatever other cliche they want to throw at you. But man alive, I don't think it happens. I really don't think it happens. But just the mere fact that Pittsburgh is looking to spend, it's going to make the NL Central interesting. If Pittsburgh really wants to spend, they've got young pitching up the wazoo, and they're all good. Bubba Chandler, Paul Skeens, obviously reigning rookie. Well, not reigning anymore, but he was rookie of the year, wins a Cy Young in his second year. Crazy, crazy talented. Arguably the best pitcher in all of baseball. And you got a bunch of young talent coming too. If you had Kyle Schwarber to the mix or someone like that, man, Pittsburgh sneaky could be really fun to watch next season. And we all know they weirdly start great in April. So or historically, I should say. So just something to keep an eye on as well. But anyway, that is going to do it for me. I am done rambling for the night. But thank you so much for watching. Ty, get better soon. And tomorrow, live with Lance, Kyle, live from Hawaii with Lance, I should say. So you could check out where he's staying in that beautiful background, unless it's a hotel lobby. But anyway, I'm Alex. That is it for the Setup Man today. Kyle tomorrow, Ty and I Tuesday. Thank you for joining. On your way out the door, make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on audio, video, YouTube, wherever you get your podcast, however you listen to us. Make sure to hit that like, subscribe, and comment below. Let me know what you think about the Zach Gallen fiasco with Bob Nightingale, what you think about Alex Bregman versus Matt Shaw. Does it make sense? And if there's any other thing you want to see this week during the winter meetings, this is the time. Let us know. Comment below. But until Wednesday, when I see you next, and my sound, it's buffering. It's buffering. Let's try that one more time. Until Wednesday. Oh my God, we're falling apart here. Until Wednesday.
In case I don't see you. Good afternoon, good evening, and good night.